I recorded and released a song that was originally written for Miley Cyrus. This is the story of Let Me Be. So for this, I need to take you back to late 2014, back to the days of the YouTube event Summer in the City being held at Alexandra Palace. I was there to not only perform a few of my songs, but also shave my head in front of thousands of people for charity. Can you believe that was 8 years ago? Just let that sink in for a bit. Little did I know that watching my performance was a guy called Tristan. A short while after the event, Tristan contacted me and introduced himself, and before long he became my manager. And I just want to mention now that I worked with Tristan for a couple of years. He was my manager when I was supporting Busted. He's also Charlie Simpson's manager, and we've since parted ways, but there's no ill feeling, there's no bad blood there or anything like that. In 2014, I released Perfect EP, but there was a gap of an entire year. I released no music in 2015. And the reason for that was I really wanted to focus on just making videos. I felt like my videos are doing really well. I'd had a few viral hits and I was ready to just sort of focus primarily on video for the time being. But there came a time when Tristan and I were speaking in 2015, and he said, you know, I'm happy, you know, looking after you, getting sponsorships, partnerships, etc. Facilitating like me going to certain events, etc. But he did primarily scout me because he is a music manager, and he said, you know, he came on board because he'd watched my music performance. So that kind of spurred me into wanting to release music again. I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay. I don't really feel inspired right now though. And that was the truth. I hadn't written any music in quite some time, and I just didn't really have a lot of inspiration going on because, sorry, I meant to mention this. I'd written one song and that was called Sucks to Be You, but that was just very much in the acoustic demo stage. And you can hear that over on my Patreon if you want to join my Patreon. Anyway, plug over. I'd only written Sucks to Be You, and I know I needed a few more songs to release. So Tristan set me up with a couple of songwriters. I tried a few things out, didn't really like where they were going. You can hear one of those demos over on my Patreon if you want to join my Patreon. But I was then put on to the guy who went on to produce the Sucks to Be You EP, Jason Perry, who is the lead singer of A, if you've ever heard of the band A. Nothing! He produced those 3 songs that were on the EP, Sucks to Be You, Look What You Made Me Do, and Let Me Be. And I've never denied this, I just haven't really talked about it probably as much as I should have done. The original ideas for Let Me Be and Look What You Made Me Do, I did not come up with. And the reason for this was because I just felt so uninspired. And one of the things that musicians, singers do when they're not feeling inspired is they talk to songwriters or producers who may have some demos in the works, and see what they can add to those demos and make them their own. So Let Me Be was one of those. There was a working demo that Jason had created, and it was very different to the music that I'd done before. It had way more of like a clubby kind of feel, and I hope it's not too cheeky, but I'm going to play a really, really short version of it for you now.
Everybody's talking about the same old thing. Nothing's better than a club you can't get in. Don't tell me when I'm hot, don't tell me when I'm not. Oh, no thanks a lot. Everybody's talking about the same old thing. Nothing's better than a club you can't get in. Get your song out of my bed. Get your song out of my head. In the morning, in the morning, in the morning. Let me be, let me be, let me be.
So you can hear that it is different to the Let Me Be that I released. My one's a little bit more rockier, but ultimately it wasn't a song that I had a ton of creative control over. But whilst I was in the studio recording my vocals for Jason, he told me a bit of the backstory of the song. And it turned out, Jason and a few other people that I've been working with had written songs for many different artists. And this song was actually intended to be put forward to Miley Cyrus to track some demos for. And I don't know exactly what timeline that would have been. I think it would have been around the 2011-2012 kind of time. So before her Bangers record came out. But I think it was around the Party in the USA kind of thing. The Can't Be Tamed kind of sound, which I love, by the way. And the little snippet that I played, that's not Miley singing. It does sound a bit like Miley, but it's not Miley. It's another singer. This is not unheard of in the music industry. In fact, it's way more common than you think. And you know what? Coming full circle, I am now beginning to write music for other artists as well. So, it's it's just how the industry works. But basically what happened was Miley Cyrus was supposed to be tracking this song, or so I have been told, of course. But she had to back out at the last minute due to other commitments, like literally a couple of days beforehand. And so Let Me Be went back into Jason's vault. And then come, like late 2015, early 2016, when I'm in the studio with Jason, you know, we were going through some of his demos and there was Let Me Be, and I loved it. So I recorded my vocals, the instrumentals were changed to make it sound a little bit heavier, to suit the kind of sound that I was going for and the image I was going for, and then it became mine. So Let Me Be was nearly a Miley Cyrus banger at one time. But now it's mine. It was a really good time in my life, you know, releasing the Sucks For You EP and doing my first ever headline tour in October 2016. And of course, going on the Busted tour. I have great memories of those days, and you know, I'm so glad that they were a part of my life. I should mention that I changed most of the lyrics of Let Me Be. I rewrote the verses. The chorus was the original chorus that Jason Perry had written, but I rewrote the verses to be more about, like from the perspective of a girl being like pursued by a guy in a band and basically saying, you're hot, but I'm not interested. I think the previous lyrics were a bit more like, you know, trying to get into a nightclub and things like that. And as someone that's been to a nightclub a total of maybe 3 times in my 30 years, I didn't think that sounded like something I would write. I hope you enjoyed that story. Anyway, you never know how things are going to pan out when you say yes to opportunities, right? Do you like Let Me Be? Do you prefer Look What You Made Me Do? Which is the topic of next week's video, by the way. Or are you more of a lover of Sucks For You? I would say I love Sucks For You the most, because I wrote all of that one, and I'm going to be playing Sucks For You live on the 3 shows that I'm doing in June in London, Manchester and Birmingham. There are tickets down below. You should come. It's going to be great. I'm so looking forward to being back on the stage. But anyway, until then and until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I shall catch you later. Too happy for this YouTube lock.